This is Jason Long with Long Talks Video Podcast, and I'm going to show you from living out of the back of my car to building a $750,000 business and learning and rubbing elbows from multi-million-dollar leaders how to be a student of passive income, marketing, entrepreneurship, in a broad perspective from both extremes of life. I am going to, along with my wife, share everything about entrepreneurship, leadership, productivity, mental toughness, mindset, so you can defy the odds and win. This show is for entrepreneurs who have a vision and a passion, and everyone is counting you out, regardless of your current resources, whether they are big or whether they are small. It doesn't matter. If you're committed to rising above and winning and getting the respect that you deserve, this podcast is going to be for you. And we're going to share all our significant moments, the big, the small, the great, the ugly, but we're going to share the journey of building a business through the lessons that we've learned by beating the odds. And our show tonight is going to be, what is your definition of success? Because there is so many cliches that are out there, and at what point that you can say that you're actually successful, because it is so much up in the air as far as whether there's a dollar amount, whether there's a degree that's tied to it, whether, it's, I can sit there and I can go on and on and on, but my wife, who is a school teacher, that I, in my own perspective, would say is successful. I want to break down to what I think is successful, what she thinks is successful, and to also have a conversation, because we're going to try to keep this under 40 minutes, is a topic called blissful dissatisfaction. And what that actually is it is proven scientifically that the dopamine level, let's just say you're going for a master's degree, or whether you want to buy a new vehicle, the dopamine level that is released in the process before you actually attain the goal, that it is actually greater before you reach the goal than it is when you actually reach the goal. So I'm going to put this over to my wife, and I'm going to let her throw her credentials out, and I'm going to let her elaborate on what her definition of being successful, not even not being successful, but what her definition of being successful is, and the role that she took and what she's doing as of to this day.
Okay, so you want me to tell my credentials?
Yes, I want you to just tell your credentials and go into depth as far as why you are or you aren't successful.
Okay. I am a teacher. I've been a teacher for 17 years. I have a bachelor's degree in elementary education. I have a master's as a reading specialist. I also have 18 credit hours beyond my master's degree. To me, success, you as an individual person have to come up with your own definition of success. I don't think that anybody else can define what your personal success might be. Do I consider myself successful? Absolutely. I can independently take care of myself. I can provide a house for my children. I can take care of my children. And I can do it on my own if need be. To me, that's success. I can also have success as a teacher when, for example, this year I moved up to 5th grade. It was my first year ever teaching 5th grade. And being able to have many of the same students that I had last year, this year I was able to move up with them, and just to see many of the things that they had taken from me from their 4th grade year into their 5th grade year. To me, that's success. Success as a teacher, success as my own personal goals. I think only you can make your own goals, and only you can define what is successful to you. It could be anything, sports. What is your next goal? If you make that goal, that can be a success. You know, if your goal is to make $1 million and you don't, and you consider yourself unsuccessful, that's kind of on you as to something that you've set for yourself, and that's your definition of success. But to me, only you can define success for yourself.
Exactly. So, and you explain it to a T. So, I mean, success from one person to another person, like if I said, okay, well, I'm not happy unless I make $100,000 this year, versus you're happy making X amount of dollars, but you know, you have the summers off, you have pretty much every holiday off, making X amount of dollars, you're comfortable in that. To you, let's just say you make $30,000 a year. You're successful because you knew that's what you were going for, that's what you obtained. So you as a school teacher, that's successful. Mm-hmm. To another person, you know, and again, it's about setting standards, setting goals, and what's successful for one person isn't necessarily successful for another person. Where if I have to make X amount of dollars to be successful, well, maybe that's not attainable. But I know for my wife, who gets the summers off, gets all the major holidays off, I mean, that's in itself is a big perk on top of.
They're well earned, by the way.
Right. They are well earned. But I mean, to have summers off, I mean, it is a huge perk.
It is, but we do work through the summer. We do add in those extra hours in order to. I don't want it to see it as, oh, she's got the summers off, but yes, I do. But my job also requires a lot during the day and requires a lot of outside work that is hours that is not compensated.
No, absolutely. And that's not taking anything away. The only point that I was trying to make was you have a master's degree, but on top of that, part of the perks that you get is being able to have the summers off with your kids, holidays off with your kids, and, you know, not taking away from the daily regimen that you guys do. Absolutely not doing.
Well,
that.
it's our success in the end is that we've earned it. We've earned it throughout the school year. We've earned it with the extra hours that we've put in. We've earned it with
COVID.
Teaching during COVID, yes.
Absolutely. Having to take a bedroom and convert it into
a classroom.
A learning classroom. Yes.
Yeah. One thing I want to kind of bounce off of that you were saying that I was thinking as you were saying it, there was a key word in there when it was obtainable. I think that sometimes people set too high goals and standards that are not realistic and are not attainable, and are always chasing a dream that's never coming. And I think in order to be successful, you have to set a goal, something that's challenging, but at the same time obtainable. Success needs to be something that's out of the ordinary, is a little bit more than what you do on a normal basis, but not something that you're never going to reach.
But then again, on the same token, is people seeing things through. Like, let's just say you're going for a lane change. You're going for, and I'm speaking in your terms, you're going through a lane change versus getting comfortable at a certain level and saying, okay, I'm making X amount of dollars, I'm here. So on top of, you know, you talk about attainable goals, where do you see attainable goals through getting comfortable? And the middle thing is seeing things through. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, but are you asking a question? Or are you just wanting me to see what you're saying?
I'm asking I don't know exactly what I'm saying. Are
you asking me what my like?
Excuse me.
Well, my goal I'm comfortable with.
No, because you brought up attainable goals. So what I'm saying is between attainable goals and getting comfortable, in the middle being seeing things through, where do you, as far as trying to be somebody who's trying to be like we said, why is this word so hard? Successful. You know, our whole thing is, what is your definition of success? So we're talking to you as a school teacher. So we're talking about attainable goals. So between seeing things through and the bottom being attainable goals, the middle being seeing things through, where is that happy medium if you're trying to be successful? And what is you as a teacher? As a teacher, your resources that you have, you take extra classes, you do lane changes to be successful, to keep moving up, to better yourself. So between setting obtainable goals and being comfortable, and the middle being seeing things through, I'm losing you.
I'm just trying to see what I'm trying to figure out what your question is.
Okay,
Hold on, I do want to say we apologize for the 3-year-old in the background, and he's kind of loud at this moment in time.
Okay, let's just put it this way, and this is real. This is, I mean, obviously, you know, this isn't scripted. So, as a person, forget being a school teacher, as a person that's trying to be successful and to move up in a career, you being a school teacher, without getting comfortable of where you're at and not moving forward and not setting obtainable goals, where do you get out of that medium and keep progressing as a teacher?
Okay.
And not settling and being comfortable and saying, I'm going to be what I'm at for the next 5 years.
Well, I mean, I guess you could look at it. Yeah, you could look at it several different ways. I mean, you're talking about lane changes and professional development and so forth. I'm currently taking classes to increase my professional development, my credit hours. My goal is the highest that I can be is master's plus 45. I'm currently at master's plus 18. So my goal is to take a class, 3 classes a year, so possibly 2 in the summer, so possibly 4. If I complete those, to me, that's success. My ultimate success is to get to that master's plus 45. Now, does the professional development end as a teacher? Absolutely not. We do professional development constantly. And that doesn't mean I won't take a class on my own to continue, because as we know, the educational world is ever changing. But also as a teacher, we're required every 2 years. When we're tenured, we have to make goals. That's in the opposite year that we are evaluated. So every other year we're evaluated, and then on the off years we have to come up with goals. To me, though, I think it's important that teachers set goals at the beginning of the year, every year, as something to pay attention to, as something to try to achieve, and they can be simple goals. And you know, if they're little successes that lead up to the ultimate success as a teacher is that your students learn. But I think it's important for teachers to set goals and not get comfortable and do the same thing all the time. Students are different. They need to be taught differently. Every year is a different year. Every group of students is different. Every class of students is different. I don't teach my first class the same as I do my second class as I do my third. They're made up differently. So that's another thing that leads towards success for not only me, but for my students as well.
So what would you say, going through the pandemic that is slowly going away, who knows if it's coming back, what success would you say that you had out of that was, and this is a complex question, that was out of your ordinary, that you really thought, was a success from doing at home? And I'm talking about from when we couldn't go in, you had to do it in our bedroom with a makeshift, blah 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 blah. So what was your biggest success that you took out of that through the pandemic of doing it at home versus doing it at school, which we know was a challenge and the whole conversion and everything. But what was what you took away as your biggest success?
I don't know if you'd consider it a successful moment or being able to walk in my classroom and be able to teach in the same room all day long. You don't realize how grateful you are for being able to stay in the same room and to teach in the same room. To not have to look at your students on a screen, to not have to push an old AV card around, and set up your classroom 6 times throughout the day, and teach in 4 different classrooms. I think it's a success in itself to say that I survived last school year. This school year had its challenges for sure, in the ever-changing world, but I got to stay in the same spot. I got to teach from my classroom. I got to stay in my room. I got to, that to me was huge. I think a big thing too that came out of it is our use of technology. Yes, paper and pencil, I'm very old school, is still very important, but we're very successful in using technology, as I've been able to help you edit your podcast and learn the technology through that. I think every teacher can say that their knowledge of technology has probably doubled, if not tripled, over the past year and a half, because we didn't have any other choice but to teach fully through technology. But also, it's important to do the paper and pencil. So I don't know if you'd call them successes. I think the biggest success is we made it through the year and almost made it through this year, and that we're kind of back to normal. I don't know. I don't know if you consider them successes or just being grateful and taking the little steps in each thing being a new thing.
Both. Grateful, successful.
Sorry, I kind of went on a tangent, but
no, it is. I mean, it is 100% both. We're gonna wrap this up here, but stay tuned. This is Long Talks Video Podcast. You can follow us on Facebook, on every social media. You can go to every social media platform that there is, we're on there. But stay tuned for the next episode. This was on leadership and entrepreneurship, and we will look for season 4 on the next podcast.
Episode 4,
excuse me. So once again, thank you very much. Long Talks Video Podcast. Thank you.